girls, those who want to be girls, those who are girls on the inside, those who are girls on the outside, those who support girls, those who just want to be girls, and everybody else, welcome. I'm so honored to be here, and I was so honored when Sultana asked me to be involved in Girls' Human Rights Hub. But I thought to myself, well, what is it about this charity and this initiative that makes it so special, that makes me really want to be part of it? And the reason is that I fundamentally believe in the importance of educating girls and of girls' right to education. And by education, I don't just mean getting a piece of paper, getting a degree. And education is something that is so much more important than that. It's about the ability to learn, the ability to question, the ability to communicate, the ability to know what your rights are and where to find them. The most important job I have ever had in my life is to be an educator to my two girls. And that is the thing that I am most proud of, over being a lawyer, being a teacher, or anything else, and all of the other jobs that I've had. As I was getting ready to come out tonight and deciding what to wear, which of the many 50 shades of black that I would choose from my wardrobe, the one thing that was a certainty was that I would be wearing trousers, because I've always worn trousers going to court. And unless we're talking about the 6 months where I went off the rails and did a seat in family law, I've always worn trousers to court. But what many people don't realise is that women only got the right to wear trousers in court in 1995, 5 years before I actually started studying law. That is quite incredible. And then I was reminded of a woman who has been a great inspiration to me. And there's a woman called Mary Robinson, who was the first female president of Ireland, where I am from. You may not have guessed that. And of course, Mary was called to the bar in London in 1973, I think. She was a member of Middle Temple. And that was the time when women were not supposed to wear trousers. But Mary carried on regardless and wore her very smart pinstripe trousers suits. On the basis, she later said, of course, everybody knew that back in Ireland, the women had been wearing the trousers for centuries. But the reason I thought, I think of Mary, she was a very, very influential lawyer and an advocate for human rights. She was very important in allowing contraception and divorce, and even getting women to be allowed to be on juries in Ireland. But when she was elected president in Ireland, she said, I was elected by women who, instead of rocking the cradle, rocked the system. And as girls, we can all rock the system. As girls, we rock. Don't we? Girls? But there was something else that Mary Robinson said, which I think is very poignant today. And she said, I use my skills. I use law in a way that few people thought possible, that I got the High Court and the Supreme Court to serve the welfare of people, and with no money. And I think that is really, really important today, to remember that we are reaching out to girls all over the world, girls who probably have very little resources. They do not have the money to bring expensive litigation or to do things that money might buy. And what we are giving them are skills, confidence, guidance, empowering them to serve themselves. Now, that is not to say that we don't need money. So later, of course, when you are socializing with us, and if you find yourself standing back with your hands in your pockets, being cool and casual, do dig deep. And if you're wondering where to put your handbags, open them up, dig deep too. But I'll leave that for later. Okay. So as part of my job as a lawyer, I've worked in-house for many years, and I have a story. I was working for a large online retailer, which shall remain nameless. But there was one particular fulfillment center or a warehouse that they had, and it had a lot of problems. It had about 3,000 employees. They were very unhappy. There was absenteeism. There was all sorts of shenanigans going on. And a lot of male leaders there that couldn't handle it. So the company that owned us, based in the States of America, decided to send in a girl to lead the site. Now, she was 26, 27 years old. She was just been employed. And they sent her over from the States to run this big site. And her only history had been as a fighter pilot in the US Marines. Now, she had flown 49 missions over Afghanistan and Iraq. And honestly, none of that would prepare her for what she was going to meet in that fulfillment center. Now, did she succeed? Her name was Sarah. Did she succeed? She absolutely succeeded. Not because she went in guns blazing, as they had expected her to do. She succeeded because she was a girl. And she succeeded because she used the skills she had learned as a girl, of listening, of fairness, of compassion. She walked that floor, she talked to them, she listened, and she brought about revolution by bringing harmony. Now, we know other women and girls that do things in their own way and are successful. So to be successful, you don't have to be like the people that are already successful. You can do that to be yourself. And that brings me on to our first speaker that I'm going to introduce, because these two people do things in their own way as well, and they do it in their own unique way, uncompromising in their beliefs and sticking to their own strengths. Now, one of these speakers, she is a formidable opponent. She's a smart and agile thinker, a keen advocate, certainly not used to losing an argument, a strong human rights campaigner who fiercely believes that all girls should have the support they need to succeed and access to education. The other one is her mother. Sultana Tafadar, KC, who has founded this initiative. She is, I am lucky enough to call her my friend, my inspiration, a fierce defender of rights, a tireless woman, and a trusted counsel. Ladies, my lady, girls, everybody else, please welcome Sultana Tafadar and Safiyah Takadamian, who is going to speak after Sultana. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Deirdre. I think that's probably the nicest thing you've said about me. Anyway, well, thank you, everybody, for being here. It's my real honor to welcome you to the opening ceremony of the Girls' Human Rights Festival. It's the first festival we're holding over 5 days, and we hope that we can continue to do this every year. Now, 2 years ago, Safiyah and I embarked on a journey to create this platform. We wanted to create a platform that would empower girls worldwide, to empower them to fight for their rights and also to fight for the rights of others. Now, Safiyah was a bit of a frustrated lawyer, and still is, and she was 9 at the time. And we had traveled quite a bit, and Safiyah had always shown an interest in the history, politics, current affairs, and human rights. I don't know whether it's my influence or she independently came to those conclusions, but she always demonstrated an interest. And so, for example, when we traveled to the States, she was very keen to visit the Lincoln Memorial and stand where Martin Luther King stood when he made his I Have a Dream speech. When we went to India, she wanted to visit the shrine of Mahatma Gandhi. Again, she knew about colonialism, partition, and everything that ensued. So she always had this interest in history and politics. So one day she came back from school and she said, "Mum, did you know women earn less than men?" And this then became her issue, and it snowballed from then on. She read about Malala and the fight for the right to education. She read about Greta Thunberg, who we all know about, and climate justice. And her interest in all things human rights, and in particular girls' human rights, snowballed from there. So I thought, okay, Again, I always encourage everyone to go into the law. And I thought, well, I'll train Safiyah, and hopefully by the time she's a little bit older, she'll have all those skills that I think I wish I had. I wish I was really confident when I was young. I wish I had the ability to speak, to articulate, and to fight my corner. And so I thought, let me teach these skills to my daughter so that when she's older, these are an ingrained, innate part of her. And so this was my equivalent of Black Widow training. Instead of the martial arts and arms, it was the art of advocacy, which I personally believe if you have, the world is your oyster. And so instead of just keeping this training for Safiyah, we thought we'd develop it, grow it, and create a platform so that all girls can can learn these skills and can fight for their own causes. They can fight in their own corner. They can fight for others that can't fight for themselves. And so that gave birth to the Girls' Human Rights Hub. 2 years later, we launched in June 2023, and we had an incredible response. In terms of press coverage, the news of our launch reached an audience size of 379 million. So we were in everything from the Times to Yahoo News to MSN. And it really struck a chord with people. And we were quite taken aback, but the support has been absolutely immense. So why did this platform strike such a chord with people? And why do we feel the need for this platform? Well, the statistics speak for themselves. The figures speak for themselves. Around the world, about 129 million girls are out of school. 736 million women and girls are subjected to sexual and physical violence. So that's 1 in 3 women and girls experience violence. Around 650 million women alive today, were married before the age of 18. Around 200 million women and girls in 30 countries have undergone female genital mutilation. And around 500 million girls and women don't have access to sanitary products and hygiene facilities. And 71% of all human trafficking involves in women and girls, mainly for the purposes of sexual exploitation. And so the magnitude and impact of discrimination and violence experienced by girls is often overlooked. Girls' rights or girls' human rights become a subset of women's rights, or they become a subset of children's rights. But actually, there's a unique impact. The girls experience these violations in a more grotesque manner, and it has an immense impact on them. Because of their age, their increased vulnerability, and the effects of social and cultural norms, girls often lack the agency and are excluded from decision-making processes. And so they can't make decisions about their own lives and the lives of others like them. And so these are the factors that create the conditions that then facilitate the violations of girls' human rights. So Safiyah and I founded this platform to champion the belief that every girl is the architect of their own future and that they are entitled to live a life free of discrimination and violence. Now, Girls' Human Rights Hub is more than a platform. We see ourselves as a movement, and this festival is our flagship event, and we hope it embodies that movement. Over the next 5 days, we have lots and lots of girls coming together to learn, to share, to inspire each other around the core 3 things that we want to impart to girls. First of all, it's advocacy or activism. Secondly, leadership. And thirdly, litigation, my own favorite. So those are the 3 things we want to impart. And we feel if you have those skills, even a modicum of it, it will really help you in terms of fighting for your rights and the rights of others. So just a quick overview of what's about to happen over the next 4 days. Well, this is day 1 of the festival. And this is the Supreme Court, as most of you will know. This is the highest court in the land. And for us, we were really honored to have been given the opportunity to host our opening ceremony here, because for us, it symbolizes a commitment to upholding human rights principles within the legal framework. It's about promoting accountability and justice, and it's about reaffirming the importance of legal protections for all individuals. And we are incredibly grateful to the Supreme Court for allowing us to be here. And we are incredibly grateful to Lady Simler, who will be speaking in a few moments. But we're absolutely honored to have her here. She's one of very few female justices in the court, and it's an absolute privilege to have her share this opening ceremony with us. Now, tomorrow it's day 2 of the festival, and it's called the Young Lawyers Symposium. Now, this is sponsored by Field Fisher, and it's an opportunity. We'll have lots of young people attending who will find out more about how to engage, how to pursue a career in human rights litigation, human rights advocacy. And we have some incredible speakers lined up, some of whom are here today. We have incredible panels, and we have fireside chats with Jill Greenfield from Field Fisher. She's representing UK victims of Harvey Weinstein. We also have Patricia Sellers, who's coming in from Brussels to join us tomorrow. And she's the special advisor for slavery crimes to the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court. So she also helps to prosecute cases on a global level. And so we have had this incredible support from Field Fisher. We have Justina Omoteo over there at the back, sat there, who has been instrumental in terms of getting this event up and running. Millie, who I think is not here, Millie Hawes, she was due to come. She's also been incredibly instrumental, and Jill Greenfield. But it wouldn't have been possible without the support of Nick Thorpe, who sits over here, who championed our cause from the outset and really helped. He will be very modest about it, but he made this happen. So that's the Young Lawyers Symposium. Day 3 is the Leadership Summit. So you can see that each day chimes in with the 3 skills we want to impart. So at the Leadership Summit, there'll be an opportunity for girls to hear from inspiring leaders in the field of human rights, gender equality, and social justice. And we have a fireside chat with another very special guest, and that's Lady Hale, who used to sit in this very court and was the first female president of the Supreme Court. So we have an incredible fireside chat coming up with her. And we have, again, various amazing workshops from our partners, Hogan Lovells and CEDR. Nadia, one of our sponsors here, will also be delivering a workshop, and Khadija, who sat in the crowd, will also be delivering a workshop. And so the support from Hogan Lovells has been incredible. Right from the outset, they were on board with any crazy idea I had. And I have Ali and Faheen, who are sat over there, to thank for that. They jumped on board immediately. And Jenna, who's been championing this in the background, Jennifer O'Connell, Yasmin Malji, and Akima Paul Lambert. So we are incredibly grateful to them. Day 4, I'm almost done, I'm getting there. Day 4 is the Advocacy Boot Camp. So this is an incredible day where we have, sponsored by Old Square Chambers, and we have the morning filled with young activists who will tell us their stories on how they brought about change, and they will run workshops and show us how it is that we can all bring about change within our schools, our communities, whether it's nationally or internationally. So lots of strategizing, discussion about tactics, digital activism, and lobbying. In the afternoon, we have a fierce panel of no less than 4 King's Counsel who will grill the girls and teach them all there is to know about legal advocacy. And I think it's safe to say, I don't think there's ever been a panel like that before at any event. So brace yourselves. You are set to have an electrifying and perhaps a slightly scary experience as well. And huge thanks to Nadia Matraghi. We've been friends for a very long time. We were at bar school together, and Nadia has, from the outset, championed this and listened to all my complaints and any issues I had. I was constantly on the phone to Nadia, and she has been invaluable in terms of bringing this festival to life. And so huge thanks to her, and also huge thanks to Sarah Earle, who also at Old Square Chambers was just instrumental in doing all of this. We have a few other members of Chambers, Rebecca Tuck, who is also, so Rebecca will be delivering one of these workshops on the day, so be warned.
Be scared.
Be terrified. And finally, the closing ceremony is in the Houses of Parliament on the 23rd of Feb. So that's our final. And I think I'll breathe a sigh of relief at that point. But it'll be a day of celebration and fun and networking and sharing and afternoon tea. And we will have Shami Chakrabarti from the House of Lords, who will give a nice speech for us to end it all. And it was important for us to have our events here at the Supreme Court and in Parliament, because with Parliament, we want to make sure lawmakers, whether it's in the UK or abroad, they hear our voices. It's a way of saying that we believe our effort can make a real difference in shaping the laws that affects everyone. It's about connecting the grassroots with the big decisions made by government leaders. And so by ending our journey in Parliament, we're showing that we're committed to making girls' human rights a top priority for those in power. Now, that's not all. So those are the 5 days. We also have 2 initiatives that we are running. One initiative is called the Young Experts Program. Now, late last year, I should say, around October, we recruited 30 young experts. So these were young women between the ages of 24, and we recruited them from all around the world. So we have we want our impact to be felt near and far. And so we have young experts on literally every continent. And we have about 8 or 9 joining us today and for the duration of the festival. Sadly, we don't have the funds yet to fly everybody in over, but you will see some of our young experts mingling with you later on. Please do say hello and offer them a word of encouragement. They are instrumental to the work that we do, and in terms of shaping the future of girls' human rights. The new scheme that we'll be launching is the Ambassadors Program. Our goal this year is to establish 100 mini girls' human rights hub in as many schools and universities as we can around the world. And so if any of you feel the need to set up and become an ambassador and set up a mini hub, please do let us know, and we'd be more than happy to help in those endeavors. The hubs will serve as spaces for young people to come together and learn about girls' human rights and take action. So we hope you'll join our initiatives. Finally, I just want to say thank you to all of our generous sponsors, individuals, organizations. We have been incredibly fortunate to be the beneficiary of your generosity. Thank you to our partners at CEDR and Susanna Schuler, who sat over there, for the incredible support, not only in terms of holding a conflict resolution workshop at the Leadership Summit, but also providing ongoing support. We will be rolling out a course in partnership which will focus on giving girls training on conflict resolution. So we hope to take on at least 100 participants for that. Huge thanks to our partners, Dan Miller at Young Professionals and Tom Lyas at Brown Jacobson. They've been instrumental in highlighting our festival and our cause to tens of thousands of girls. And huge thanks to Lord Hendy for sponsoring our closing ceremony at the House of Lords. And again, the hugest, if that's the word, thanks to Lady Simler for being here with us. And finally, my personal thanks to Ilvana Deirdre, who sat over there, our legal and advocacy officer, who I've probably driven mad since our launch and probably a little bit before that as well, who has held it all together, pieced it all together, painstakingly gone through thousands of emails, spreadsheets, databases, and created what we have now in its current form. And finally, to the trustees, 2 of whom can't be here. One is having a very nice holiday somewhere. The other is a slightly overworked mom. And then we have Deirdre, who has been absolutely instrumental in all things related to Girls' Human Rights Hub and the festival. So we hope together we can build a world where every girl has the opportunity to thrive, to dream big, and to make their voices heard. We want to create a world where every girl, like Safiyah, is given the power to change the world and an opportunity to be one in a million. Thank you. Okay. Should I give this? Sure.
Hello, everyone. It's truly an honour to stand before you today at the Girls' Human Rights Festival. As an 11-year-old, I may not have seen it all, but I've certainly experienced enough to understand why events like these are so crucial. Let's face it, being a girl isn't always easy. We live in a world where girls face more challenges than boys, from unequal access to education and opportunities to the issue of gender-based violence. The obstacles can sometimes feel overwhelming. But here's the thing. Despite these challenges, girls all around the world are rising up and making their voices heard. Take Malala Yousafzai, for example. She fought for girls' education in Pakistan, even after facing threats to her own life. Or Greta Thunberg, who's inspiring a global movement to combat climate change. These incredible young women show us that age is no barrier into making a difference. That's why I'm so excited to be here today at the Girls' Human Rights Festival. This festival isn't just about raising awareness. It's about empowering girls like me to become leaders, advocates, and activists. I'm eager to learn new skills like leadership, advocacy, and activism that will help me make a real difference in the world. I'm also incredibly grateful to everyone who's gotten involved and supported this festival, especially our sponsors. Your generosity and support means the world to me and the girls everywhere. Together, we're creating a brighter future where every girl can thrive and reach her full potential. So as we gather here today, let's celebrate the progress we've made and commit ourselves to the work that lies ahead. Let's honor the courage of the girls around the world, and let's pledge to stand in solidarity with them as they continue to fight for their rights. Thank you for being part of this important movement. Together, we can build a brighter, more equitable future for all girls everywhere.
Thank you both. Thank you, Safiyah. We are really so honoured to have our next guest here with us. She is a woman, a lawyer, a mother, a great advocate for equality and diversity. In fact, she's been the chair of the Equality and Diversity Committees of the Bar Council, the Judges Council, and Inner Temple. When I was trying to prepare something to say about her, to introduce her, I obviously had to do a bit of Googling, and I saw that she was described as a brilliant lawyer and judge with real wisdom, compassion, and fairness. On her appointment to this court, the Supreme Court, only at the end of last year, the president of the Supreme Court, Lord Reid, said that her exceptional experience and ability will be highly valuable to the Supreme Court and will further strengthen us as a world's leading court. The Jersey Evening News said the Cambridge-educated mother of four becomes Supreme Court judge. Now, personally, I think just being a mother of four eminently qualifies you. But maybe they thought it was the Cambridge education that did it. Either way, they seem to have missed the point that Lady Simler has, of course, been a lawyer, a recorder, QC, a judge in the King's Bench Division of the High Court, head of Devereux Chambers, president of the Employment Appeal Tribunal, and of course a Lady Justice of the Court of Appeals. So she's worked her way up and well and truly deserves all of that, not just because she went to Cambridge or anywhere like that. So please let me introduce you to Lady Simler. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. It's a real privilege to have been invited to speak today, and a real inspiration for me to hear about Sultana and Safiyah's journey and about what all of you are doing, and a testament to the dedication of so many people that you have created this hub and this week's festival, which sounds amazing. If only I didn't have to sit on appeal tomorrow, I could come along and listen to some of those sessions. But the promotion of girls' human rights is a cause that's very close to my heart. As a former girl myself, although it doesn't look like it, as a mother of 2 daughters, but perhaps even more significantly, as a woman who has spent her career in what is a very male-dominated legal profession and judiciary. The history of women in the legal profession is one marked by struggle, resistance, and resilience. It was about 150 years ago, in 1873, that a petition was signed by 92 women. They were seeking permission to attend lectures at the Council of Legal Education in Lincoln's Inn. Their petition was rejected. It was thought not expedient that women should be admitted to those lectures. It took about 50 more years from then before the Sex Disqualification Removal Act 1919 came into force, which allowed women to qualify as lawyers. And the first woman barrister, a very brave woman called Ivy Williams, was finally called to the Bar of England and Wales in 1922, followed by another trailblazer, the first woman solicitor, Carrie Morrison, admitted in 1922 as well. But even then, Ivy Williams and no doubt the other women continued to fight in a way that paved the way for the generations of other women, including me, who followed. Ivy endowed a scholarship for female law students at the University of Oxford. She was the first woman to teach law at any English university. She taught law students at Oxford's 4 women-only colleges. She recognized that being the first woman was never enough, and she worked to make sure that she was followed by hundreds of others. So that now at the bar, for example, more than 40% of us are women. In the solicitor's profession, it's more than 55%, and chartered legal executives are made up of 78% of women. I was the beneficiary of that struggle, resistance, and resilience. I studied law at university, and I qualified as a barrister in 1987. I realized that a career at the bar gave me a voice to advocate for those who couldn't advocate for themselves. I spent a lot of my career at the bar dealing with employment cases, unlawful discrimination cases, and other unfair treatment. And some of the most rewarding cases I did were for individuals who couldn't have vindicated their rights without help from a lawyer. After 25 years at the bar, I became a judge, first a trial judge dealing with civil and criminal trials. And then in 2018, I went to the Court of Appeal. And as Deirdre has said, in November last year, I was lucky enough to be appointed to this court. Daunting, but also a huge privilege. Diversity in the judiciary matters a great deal, because as judges, we are all products of our backgrounds, our lived environments, and our experiences. We're not robots. Our gender, our race, our culture are all part of our identity. The schools we went to plays a part in the way we may respond to a problem, as does the way we were brought up. We've heard about how Sultana has been teaching Safiyah, and that will stand her in enormous good stead. But all of that informs our decision-making. And if sections of society are not fairly reflected in the judiciary of this country, that's a real problem. Fundamentally, it seems to me, questions of public confidence, trust, legitimacy, and fairness are at stake. And that is where all of you come in, and why the programme of events planned for this week is so very important. So why are girls' human rights important? Well, a society isn't truly free and equal unless the freedom and equality is enjoyed by everyone. But when girls are denied the same rights as others, that's a particular problem for us all. And we must all act to empower girls, to advocate, to lead, and to litigate to bring about change for themselves. Central to girls' human rights are, as Sultana has said, education rights. The value placed on education globally is highlighted by the work of many young people. Malala's been mentioned already several times, and for good reason. It's well documented that promoting and investing in girls' education can transform communities, societies, and the world. First, it raises people out of poverty. Access to a good quality education allows girls to take up employment opportunities that might otherwise be unavailable for them. Each additional year that a girl spends in school can boost her earnings as an adult by up to 20%, and that has obvious benefits for economic participation. Not only are women and girls who can exercise their education rights better able to provide for themselves, their families, and their communities, but they contribute to sustainable global growth. Secondly, education has a major impact on girls' health. There are strong links between education and good health outcomes. Better education gives girls access to the knowledge and to accurate information that they might need to make informed decisions about their health. They're then better positioned to participate in that decision-making process. Thirdly, it empowers and encourages girls to lead, advocate, and advance change. A good quality education can shape a girl's character. It can allow her to develop talents and abilities and to achieve her fullest potential. And of course, while the present is important, we have to have an eye to the future. The girls of today will be the leaders of tomorrow. By promoting education rights, we can ensure that the next generation of leaders are diverse and are in the best position to represent the interests of the women and the girls who come after them and to make a real difference, whether that is as lawyers and judges, in corporate boardrooms, in government, or in any other sector you care to think of. As well as education, also fundamental to girls' human rights are reproductive rights, and these underpin the exercise of many of the other rights of girls and young women: rights to life, health, privacy, education, and the right to live free from unlawful discrimination. The moral reasons for promoting the reproductive rights of girls are clear. According to estimates, the World Health Organization says a woman dies during pregnancy or childbirth every 2 minutes. Each year, an estimated 21 million girls between 15 and 19 become pregnant in developing regions of the world, most unintended. Globally, the rate of adolescents giving birth is very high. Studies show that risk factors tend to be highest amongst those with less education and economic opportunity. Unintended pregnancy, therefore, presents a very serious risk to the health of girls. It is critical that they be able to exercise their reproductive rights and freedoms, as well as accessing the information that is important to them about birth control, about healthcare, so that they can make informed decisions about all aspects of their own bodies. But the reasons for promoting reproductive rights for girls are not simply moral. Reducing unintended pregnancy decreases the costs of pregnancy, of birth. It allows girls to continue in education. It allows them to access employment opportunities, and it allows them to contribute to growing economies, enabling women and girls to choose for themselves when and if they have children, allows them to participate more fully in social, in political, and in public life. That autonomy, together with access to high-quality healthcare, underpins the rights of girls to pursue education and employment opportunities and provides the basis on which they can exercise those fundamental rights that are so important. So drawing all these threads together, promoting both education and reproductive rights allows girls to make informed choices. Education is the best way in which we can equip girls with the skills and the opportunities to advocate both for themselves and for others, to take leading roles in making decisions that will have the greatest impact. By promoting those rights, those girls will be more likely to lead healthy, productive lives, advancing the cause of equality and ensuring that rights and freedoms can be enjoyed by all. Ivy Williams would, I believe, have been so proud to see all of you here. I am really proud too. You are the future. You are the generations that will come after her. And I'm sure that you will challenge the barriers to equality that are in your way. You will advocate for others. I think this week is a wonderful opportunity both to celebrate the progress that has been made so far, as Safiyah said, but also to look to the future and to think and to talk about the ways in which all of you and us can continue to promote and to advance girls' human rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simler, for that. And I hope you don't mind, but I borrowed a quote from you. When I was doing my Google search, I came across an interview you had given. And in that interview, you talked about the importance of resilience. And I think you mentioned it briefly at the beginning of your speech tonight. And you said you also need to be resilient. There were occasions in my career when everything felt difficult and highly pressurized, but you just had to keep going. And I thought that was so important. And that reminded me of a training course I had been lucky enough to be on many years ago about that very subject, about resilience. And the main piece of advice about that is to be resilient. It is a really good idea to surround yourself with people that you really trust to give you an honest opinion, to guide you in all parts of your life, be that your doctor, your hairdresser, your lawyer, whatever it is, and to surround yourself. And that is my introduction, or my way of introducing our next guests, because they certainly have formed part of my circle that I really rely on for their wise counsel and for their help whenever I need it. And the first of these people that I want to introduce you to has helped me greatly in my own legal career because I have instructed him on many occasions in a panic when I needed an answer immediately, and I had to only be his only client, and he had to pull a rabbit out of a hat, and he always did. And I am so very grateful because he always gives me the best possible advice that he can give me, taking into account the crazy needs that I tell him I've got. And that is, he's an exceptional lawyer, a trusted advisor. Please welcome Nicholas Thorpe of Field Fisher, and we're very, very grateful to have him.
It was very kind indeed. Thank you. And unexpected, but thank you. Truth is, when Deirdre reached out to me, it's very difficult to say no to Deirdre. And when she finds out with Sultana as well, it was impossible. It is with great pleasure and pride that Phil Fisher are able to sponsor the inaugural Young Lawyers Symposium and also support the invaluable work that the Girls' Human Rights Hub are doing in advocating for the rights of girls. It's quite extraordinary to see how much the Girls' Human Rights Hub has actually achieved since its inception. And it's been very exciting to see this year's festival take shape. Credit for the symposium, though, must go to a couple of my colleagues, which Sultana named earlier, Millie, our head of Just Purpose, and Justina, our senior manager for inclusiveness, equity, and diversity. for partnering with Sultana and her team in organising tomorrow's symposium. When Sultana asked Phil Fisher if we'd be willing to support this year's festival, it really was a no-brainer for us. The Hub has a clear purpose which aligns with our core values as a firm. We strive to make a positive impact through our legal expertise, community outreach, and with our partnership with organisations like the Girls' Human Rights Hub. And through our collaborative efforts, we aim to create a more just and equitable society for all. But what has really impressed me so much in the weeks leading up to this festival is the openness to collaborate. In particular, the willingness to pull thoughts and ideas and being curious and open to new ways of achieving excellence. I'm very pleased to see that Millie and Justina will be able to speak tomorrow on girls' rights and intersectionality. Millie, in particular, has done so much at Phil Fisher to raise disability awareness within the firm, and I hope her talk tomorrow will be the start of a longer conversation about the Hub can support disabled girls' rights. Tomorrow's Young Lawyers Symposium includes various panel discussions and some amazing panelists. We also have, as Sultana mentioned, 2 wonderful fireside chats. The first with our very own Jill Greenfield, an award-winning lawyer, described here as a warrior, who's leading the cases against Harvey Weinstein for historic sexual assaults. Not only against Harvey Weinstein, there are very many others. Some of you may have seen her in the FT recently campaigning to the FCA to ring-fence funds in O'Day Asset Management because she's supporting a number of women that fell victim to Crispin O'Day. So that campaign continues. Jill is truly remarkable. She has an unwavering passion for women's rights and a commitment to improving women's access to justice. She recently won a civil rape case at trial, which is an incredibly rare feat, as only a few cases have ever reached trial in the UK without a criminal conviction. She has also been instrumental, along with another of our colleagues, Sarah Elson, as well as Creative UK and the UK Time's Up, in setting up the new independent standards authority within the creative industries to provide advice and also accountability for bullying and harassment and abuse in that industry. The other fireside chat is with Patricia Sellers, the Special Advisor on Slavery Crimes for the Office of the Prosecutor for the ICC. Patricia is a distinguished international criminal lawyer. Amongst her many achievements, she's worked as a member of the trial team on cases which created the preeminent legal standards for the interpretation of sexual violence as war crimes, crimes against humanity, genocide, torture, and enslavement. And that's just tomorrow's event. As Sultana mentioned, the Hub has also collaborated with Hogan Lovells and with Old Square to run a leadership summit and an advocacy boat camp over the course of this week. Both of these events look amazing, and I hope they inspire attendees and equip them with the tools they need to defend girls' rights. But if I can conclude with one key message, it is this. It is the power of collaboration. This festival would not be possible without people willing to collaborate. Great things happen when people work together. So I hope attendees will feel inspired by the discussions over the next couple of days, but I also hope that you build connections, and through those connections, you continue to be engaged and committed to the cause and ask others to join the Hub so that it can achieve truly great things. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick and Phil Fisher. Our next sponsor, likewise, did not hesitate in coming to our help. They have really been great friends to the Girls' Human Rights Hub from the very beginning, and that is Hogan Lovells. And they have championed our cause through a number of their partners, including our next guest, who herself has just been promoted to being partner at Hogan Lovells, Jenna Ralph. And Hogan Lovells have actually, she's going to talk about this, but they have promoted a record number of women in the last round, which Jenna is now going to tell us about as well. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you. As Deirdre said, I'm Jenna Ralph and I'm a partner in the litigation team at Hogan Lovells. And I'm also the co-chair of the Gender Equality Network for the London, Birmingham and Dublin offices. And that's how I came to be involved in this amazing event. I'm very grateful to be part of this event and so pleased that Hogan Lovells can support it by hosting and contributing to a leadership summit on Wednesday, which Sultana's already talked about. And it's designed to empower girls and equip them with the skills and confidence to become effective leaders in their communities, your communities. And as Sultana said, we've got a number of impressive panelists and speakers at the Leadership Summit, including Lady Hale, who will be giving us an insight into the remarkable journey she's had to the pinnacle of the legal profession. Now, much like Nick, I've been thinking about how, as part of our involvement with this event, how supporting girls' human rights aligns with Hogan Lovells' values and goals. And this is a question that should be so easy to answer that it's actually impossible to do it justice. But the obvious place to start is Hogan Lovells' pro bono practice. Last year, we delivered over 244,000 volunteering hours to benefit our communities, of which over 156,000 hours was dedicated to pro bono legal work. We do this in recognition of the fact that it is so vital to use the skills that we take for granted and our very privileged positions to speak on behalf of those who cannot do so easily. A good example of that commitment, following the resurgence of the Taliban, where we managed to evacuate over 200 female cyclists and their families who were in hiding following the collapse of the Afghan government, and seeking help to escape the country. There was no evacuation system in place, and female cyclists and their families were and are vulnerable targets in a society where there is a full ban on women playing sport. Whilst proud of our work in this area, we're very conscious that the situation of Afghan sportswomen remains unacknowledged. And so earlier this month, we submitted a report to the Gender Apartheid Inquiry, established by Baroness Helena Kennedy, with the objective of identifying practical and meaningful steps that can be taken to address the situation of women and girls in Afghanistan as a matter of urgent international concern. This impressive work is something that Hogan Lovells' International Pro Bono head, Yasmin Walji, sitting at the back, OBE, will be speaking about in more detail as part of the Leadership Summit on Wednesday. We also have a regular commitment to the Domestic Abuse Response Alliance, which is a pro bono initiative that I'm involved with. Together with 9 other law firms, we take on cases seeking urgent non-molestation orders on behalf of victims of domestic abuse who are unable to seek that relief themselves. Whenever I contribute to these cases, I'm reminded how important it is that we do this work and help people navigate what is undeniably a complex and often impenetrable system. And on a personal level, I'm particularly pleased that this event celebrates girls with a view to encouraging them, to be leaders from a young age. As one of 2 girls in my family, I was always told by my parents that I could do anything I wanted to do, and that being female was a virtue and not a hindrance. So I grew up believing that, and I'm so lucky to have had that instilled in me from a young age, and I'm conscious that not everybody does. Because outside that familial encouragement, the world gave me strong signals that if I wanted to be successful, I should probably try to behave less like a woman. For example, I was taught by body language experts to occupy a larger space at meetings, a more male space, they said, in order to come across more powerfully and to be taken more seriously. And I've been told on more than one occasion by different people that as a girl, and as a blonde girl at that, that notwithstanding my years of education and training, I had a higher hurdle than my male counterparts to prove that I had something worthwhile to say. And I remember vividly at a dinner party when I was a young associate telling the man to my left that I was a lawyer. That's just a coincidence. It wasn't. The man to my right that I was a lawyer. But you're a woman, he chortled, so you'll never be a partner. And for much of my early days as a lawyer, probably as a result of these and similar experiences, I tried in one way or another to act less like a woman. I stopped wearing nail varnish and jewelry. I tried not to use the word woman in case somebody noticed that I was one. However, as I progressed in my career, it became increasingly clear to me that the firm wanted to invest in me as an individual, and that actually being a woman was my main attribute, not trying to be a man, because actually I was not very good at that at all. This this gave me a lot more confidence in my ability to do the job, and in turn, it made me better at it. And in January last year, as Deirdre said, I was promoted, along with 5 other women, in the London office's first all-female round of promotions, and as part of a promotion round internationally that comprised 58% women, which was a record for the firm. And I was initially quite shy about this, probably because it fed into my imposter syndrome. And then I was a little bit angry that it got any attention at all, because how many all-male rounds have there been in previous years? But now I'm just very proud, and never more so than when young women tell me that they find it inspiring. And I'm so glad that things have moved on so much, and I'm hopeful that my 2 daughters won't feel like they need to be anyone other than themselves. But we're not there yet. Inequality remains in numerous forms here and throughout the world, and it's crucial that we strive to do better. So with that in mind, I'm delighted that movements like this exist, and that we are recognizing the importance of women and encouraging girls to be leaders and to use their unique voices to advocate for themselves, for each other, and for other marginalized voices, and not relying on other people to do that for them.
Thank you, Jenna. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing that with us. Our next and our final guest tonight is representing Old Square Chambers. She has been my wise counsel for many years, and I'm also lucky enough to call her my friend. She is a King's Counsel. She's also a Deputy District Judge. And what I particularly love about her is the way she champions more junior members of Chambers. She also seems to know all the answers. And the reason I say this is that sometimes I try and catch her out. And one of these opportunities came on Friday when she phoned me to discuss this evening. And not that I don't know anything as much as she does, but I tried to drop a little snippet in to make it sound like I really know the law and she doesn't. So I happened to mention a very obscure area of law that I was doing a little bit of research on. And she immediately said, oh, yes, I know quite a lot about that. And actually, there's been a case from one of my colleagues did. And what you need to know is you need to read not the main body, but just the bit that didn't get appealed. And wait, let me send it to you. Anyway, that sums up my wonderful friend and our next guest representing Old Square Chambers, who are also sponsoring us, Nadia Matraghi.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm Nadia Matraghi, KC, and on behalf of Old Square Chambers, I'm delighted and honoured to be here tonight as a festival sponsor for the opening ceremony here in these magnificent surroundings of the Supreme Court at the very heart of our legal system. I can't tell you the contrast that it is with Wilson County Court, and I was sitting on Friday. I'm conscious that I'm the last to speak tonight, and so I know that I'm all but standing between you and the reception that is outside, so I will be brief. The other speakers have already eloquently explained the importance of the need for focus on girls' human rights because of the special barriers and disadvantages that girls face in our world, and the double burden that comes with both sex and age-based discrimination. So rather than revisit those points, I want to make 3 short additional points. Firstly, why Old Square Chambers is sponsoring this festival. For those who don't already know Old Square Chambers, we are one of the leading barristers' chambers in the UK, and we're a group of expert advocates specialising in employment law, discrimination, clinical negligence, personal injury, and professional discipline. And what you'll note about all of those areas of law is that those cases fundamentally have a person at the centre of them, and very often concern their human rights. My colleagues and I have acted in cases about girls' human rights, involving things as diverse as Afro hair discrimination, to the right to wear a uniform in accordance with religious beliefs, to sexual harassment in the course of receiving education or elsewhere, and also rights to education, particularly special educational needs. We have seen how marginalised girls' rights can be both at home and abroad. And because we believe in the value of using our courts to guarantee rights and to create positive change, but we also recognise that a legal solution can only ever be part of the answer. It's an incredibly important part of the jigsaw puzzle, but it is not the only piece. All of those pieces are needed to bring about meaningful change. And so with that in mind, when we heard about the mission of Girls' Human Rights Hub, we knew that we wanted to be a part of it. We wanted to support the campaign to empower girls to reach their full potential, to learn about their legal rights and to enforce them, and so we are here today. I want to pay special thanks to some of my wonderful colleagues in Chambers who have given so much of their own time to this mission. Rebecca Tuck Casey, who will be speaking on Thursday at this infamous advocacy along with the Jomo Obama Casey and Alina Mishra Casey. I also want to thank Will Mead, our senior clerk, and Sarah Earle, our Chambers director, who have been bombarded by emails with me at all times of the day and night asking about things to do with visual equipment, what kind of goodie bags we have, and all matters of that nature. But also the fundamental question of whether Old Square was prepared to put its money where its mouth is in order to support this festival. The next thing I want to say is to add our thanks to all of those who are generously sponsoring the festival, giving their time and expertise this week outside of Old Square Chambers, especially our host tonight, Lady Simler, here at the Safiyah Court. But chief amongst those to thank overall, I do want to thank Sultana, who is the ambitious and visionary leader who, together with Safi, not only imagined this trailblazing Girls' Human Rights Hub, but actually brought it to fruition. I've been hearing about the Girls' Human Rights Hub for a long time, and there was a moment where I did think, where is this going to go? But I couldn't be more delighted to see where we have come and the incredible team at the Girls' Human Rights Hub and what they've put together. Oh my goodness, it has surpassed every expectation. And thirdly and finally, and most important of all, to our delegates, our girls and young women, how do we get the most from this extraordinary week in terms of meaningful change? How do we turn education and discussion and collaboration into action? This week, you'll be hearing from some of the most pioneering women across the UK and the world who have seen a problem and decided to take action, who would not take no for an answer, and have reached new heights and achieved results that no one thought were possible. And as you'll come to see, as well as education and collaboration, many of these stories relied on them expanding their networks, harnessing their networks, as Sultana and Safiyah did with the hub. They found like-minded people, they collaborated, they managed to pull them in, managed to pull in some of the brightest lights, including everyone here tonight, from young experts to the upper echelons of the judiciary, the pinnacle, the legal profession, to campaigning organisations. And by doing all of that, they made it happen. And my message to each and every one of the girls and young women here tonight is that if they can, so can you. Have a wonderful week, and let's make this the first of many Girls' Human Rights Hub festivals. Thank you.
Yes.